Gen Z do really care about what people will say.
Being a little minimalistic is also not bad.
The days are not good. The days you are not successful, you still have to show up.
Don't be so harsh on yourself and take life easy.
Was there a moment in your entrepreneurial journey where you started questioning on your decision?
Before taking that leap, please do your homework properly.
One thing from your journey which will help them to navigate, pursue something, what that could be.
What took you here will not take you there.
This episode is supported by our guest experience partner, Sona Cakes and Bakes, a Kolkata-based FSSAI certified home bakery known for its customized and delicious cakes, which they deliver with care across the city. They have helped us curate and create a thoughtful and memorable experience for our guest today. Welcome to Bridging Ideas. Today we have Tanuja Choudhury with us. She is a seasoned corporate leader turned entrepreneur. Beyond being a successful entrepreneur, Tanuja is a dynamic force in the world of social and professional networking. An active member of leading forums such as Women's Chamber of Commerce, All Ladies League, and the TI Kolkata chapter, she has consistently championed meaningful connections and community building. Tanuja is also the curator behind impactful platforms like She Leads 2026, a landmark Women's Day event that brought together voices of change and leadership. Alongside her entrepreneurial journey, she is also a seasoned corporate trainer, working with some of the most respected organizations, including RBI, IOCL, RTC Limited, Vodafone Idea, and many more. In today's episode, we deep dive into why reinvention feels so hard today, what most leaders get wrong in times of uncertainty, and how leadership itself is evolving in a rapidly changing world. Tanuja also opens up about balancing ambition with family, the invisible challenges women carry, and the role of support systems in sustaining growth. I am your host, Supriyo, and let's get started. Thank you so much, Tanuja. Welcome to Bridging Ideas.
Thank you so much, Supriyo. It's my honor to be today, be welcomed by Bridging Ideas. Thank you for having me here.
Can you take us back to your childhood, what kind of child you were? And today, if we see you are as a person, how much you changed from that time?
See, as a child, I was a very naughty child. And my parents used to get all sorts of complaint from the neighborhood regarding my mischievous ways of, beating other kids and picking up the pickles from the terrace tops. So those days were different. Our childhood was really very nice and we really had a great childhood, I must say. But at the same time, being born in a traditional Bengali family, like we were expected to do a lot of, focus lot into education. Mm-hmm. So that way I would, really thank my parents for being so strict with me. Because although I hail from a well-to-do family, but then my father's principles and values were very strict. And he always insisted that even if you are a woman and even if you can get married and you can have an easy life, I will not allow you to marry unless you have a career of your own. And after class 12, I sat for the competitive exams and I could not crack the IITs. The engineering at IITs in my, after class 12. And I still remember my dad was extremely angry and upset because he said I won't be able to go to my office tomorrow because when people ask me whether your daughter qualified or not, I won't be able to say yes because you could not qualify for IITs and, that is very upsetting. So please ensure that you have a tag of the institute in your biodata. So after doing my MSc, I have done my master's in pure science. I pursued PG Tech from IIT Kharagpur. And then I told my dad, okay, I could not crack the BTech, but then PG Tech I have done from IIT Kharagpur. And I hope that makes you happy because I'm really very glad, that parents those days were so strict and demanding. Because my dad was so strict, I did fabulous in my education and that helped me have a good life, I must say. And I had a career, and then I married somebody I was going around during
Okay.
my childhood days.
And as you rightly said, that you had so much of pressure from your parents, from family, that you should have a tag. Um, don't you think that in today's generation, especially Gen Z, we call, uh, the the pressure is still there, but maybe that's changed. Maybe they are now under a lot of peer pressure, which we usually did not have at our time. We were more scared about, okay, what our parents will say or what people will think. But these days, Gen Z do really care about what people will say or what kind of pressure they are going through.
See, I have a son who is a Gen Z.
Yeah.
So it's very easy for me to answer your question, Shupriyo. I don't think they have any peer pressure. They don't care what the world says about them. Number one, also because they are so much into a virtual world these days. They don't meet people the way we used to meet.
Yeah.
Right? The neighborhood uncle, the neighborhood auntie, what would they say if I failed my exam? That kind of a situation they don't have, because they're in their own virtual world. And also I feel they are somewhat more relaxed than we were during our childhood days. And perhaps because there are more career options, there are more alternates to engineering, alternates to being a doctor. Like in our times, it was more traditional career choices. But these days, there is so much of variety you can choose from. I think that is also one thing that has helped these kids to be more relaxed.
Yeah, true, very true. I can completely resonate because oftentimes when I meet to the people, to the this generation, modern generation, they are very much blunt to say what they want. As you rightly said, that they don't care what people will think, and yeah, obviously for the sake of virtual world, they hardly meet people in person, which they don't have to hear. You had a very successful career in corporate,
Right.
and then eventually you shifted your career into entrepreneurship. What was the trigger? How did you decide that, okay, now I should take a plunge, I should take a leap?
Yeah, very, very correct. Like while you were working successfully in the corporates, we all think that we will retire from the company or maybe some other company, right? I never thought that I will become a business person, a businesswoman. And as we all say, the COVID had the disruption, in all arenas you can think of. So during COVID days, what happened? We started working from home. And at that point of time, I was handling the entire East. I was regional head for East for my company, taking care of many domains. And those days, life was becoming miserable. People who have worked from home during the COVID era, they know how demanding the offices were. And the pressure was gruesome. Office pressure was different, like offline, going to office, meeting people, sorting out things was, I would say, was easy. But controlling an entire workforce from home without meeting them, right, it was getting very cruel, I would say, at times, demanding at times. And also I thought, I took a time to think, and because it was COVID, so I got that luxury to sit back and reflect on my life that I've been chasing, running around last 23 years. So if not now, then when? And also because my son was in high school, and I thought that I had enough of my career, and I also need to focus on his career, because if I keep on chasing, again I'll miss sight of his upbringing. So I thought to take a conscious call and give up my corporate career and do something that would allow me to have some family time and make the work life balance better. So that was the aim. That is why I did this.
I do agree with your point. One thing just hit my mind that, as you said, that during COVID time, I remember one point of time right after COVID, we all went to remote overnight, from office setup to
Absolutely.
remote setup. And one fine day, somebody told me, which hit me very hard, that it's not that work became increased, work is more. It's that we just can't be off.
Exactly.
And at certain point of time, you have to just lid down keep your laptop lid down. else you won't be unavailable. You won't be able to cut yourself from the job.
Exactly.
So
That's the thing.
I recall that moment.
Until the time it was offline, we were meeting people. You won't believe it was enjoyable. Even the pressure was easy to handle. But the moment it became a, isolated kind of a work arena, I felt the pressure was even tougher to handle.
You had a very strong corporate journey. And then I got it that you decided, because of so and so reasons, you decided to start. If not now, then when, as you said, which I liked. Living a stable career. I believe during corporate, it was a very stable career.
Right.
But then leaving that stability and then moving into an unprecedented world, what kind of fears you had to wrestle with yourself?
See, Shupriyo, I believe like if you are confident about your own abilities, if you have a positive attitude towards life, and if you believe in what you do, anything is possible. Why I say this? Because when I stopped my corporate journey and I took a leap towards entrepreneurship, it was totally an uncertain world. I didn't know because I was so used to getting a fat paycheck at the end of the month. So I knew that coming month I won't get this. I still remember I went to Shoppers Stop the day I resigned and I bought a watch worth 15K. Okay, and I was telling myself 15K দিয়ে আবার কবে কিনবো, let me buy this watch. Till that I'm having my salary. But you won't believe this freedom that you get to do things your way, to divide your time the way you want and to pursue your dreams, right, the way you want. That freedom is priceless, and no amount of salary can give you that happiness and satisfaction that freedom to chase your dreams gives you.
And when you realize that truth, that okay, I can pursue anything I want with my paycheck or with the salary, and now it's time to be frugal, or probably to put a stop. Before I spend anything, I have to be very much mindful. How was your reaction?
Initial reaction was difficult, I would say. Initial reaction was frustration, sadness, but I kept telling myself that a day will come when I'll match up. I'll buy what I want to buy. But then, after a time, like now I am 6 years into this entrepreneurship journey, after a time you realize maybe what you were spending was also too much. So once I started cutting down, I also realized that being a little minimalistic is also not bad. So maybe something I was overdoing.
Yes.
So life taught me that even with a little less, you don't have to cut down fully. That is what I do now. I have not cut down fully, but even with a little less, you can still be happy.
And being frugal or being minimalist is not something which will harm us. Rather,
right,
it's a mindful spending which helps the society.
It's a mindful spending. I would say that is the right tag. Instead of being a minimalist, because women like us, elaborate women like us, suddenly if you ask us to be frugal, it's doing torture to us. So I would say like having that mindset that that you can cut down a little bit. You don't need to be so extravagant. So that is a choice.
And you have a very successful career, and you learned a lot of things in your corporate life. Can you take us back to understand more? What are the things you had to unlearn first, even before you think about entrepreneurship?
See, the first thing about entrepreneurship, this is a piece of advice that I would like to give my corporate friends, that when you work in a good organization, people are of your level, more or less, your team members, your seniors. Like I was reporting to an IITIM guy. Okay. So naturally, the way he handled me or the way he handled the challenges around us was different. But now that we are dealing with the entire world is your customer. Like a rickshaw puller can be your customer, right? So you don't know who will come and shout at you. So handling every type of people is a skill set that you need to learn, relearn while you are doing this journey of you are into entrepreneurship, because you don't have those benchmarks anymore.
So you mean handling the pressure from anyone for the sake, not from a specific group of people,
right?
is something you had to.
Right now, I have 3, 4 employees who are staffs, right? And they are not engineers or they are not MBA pass outs. They're all mostly like, simple graduates or maybe just, I also have a 12th pass person. So the feel good factor is there that I'm creating a livelihood for 3, 4 people. That is a feel of satisfaction that I'm able to economically help 3 households. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind that you're not working with those MBAs anymore that you are used to have in your boardrooms. Right now, the world is your boardroom.
True. And once you realize this thought that, okay, I have to, I'm sure you have had the challenge to adopt it. And how did you sail it through? How did you learn this or adopt this practice?
See, initial days you will have hiccups. Initial few months you will have challenges. You will feel bad because from a 15,000 square feet you will come down to a 200, 300 square feet office. Like I used to have go to huge, large cafeterias and have lunch with my colleagues. So suddenly you will feel isolated. You are all alone because you don't have any team. You are a solopreneur, you are an entrepreneur, and people reporting to you are no more MBAs or engineers or any other good designations. Like, all the people are mostly from simple backgrounds, right? So that challenge will be there initially, handling them, handling that isolation, handling that small space, office space, especially coming from large companies, it's even tougher. But then time teaches you a lot of things, and you need to have that change management, which I always advocate to my juniors and also to others. Like, change management is something which will help you sail everywhere. That is something you need to take care of, how to handle the change.
Right, right. And rejection is a part of the game. While you are an entrepreneur, you are stepping into entrepreneurship, you are a very successful entrepreneur, but then rejection is a part of the game. And I'm sure there have been some situations where you had to face some challenges. You expected something to be done from some door, but the door did not open for you. How did you handle this kind of rejections? Or have you, or can you take us to such journey where you expected something to be easily been done, and then end of the day it was not taken care of?
So that's a very nice question that you asked. Thank you so much. Like, especially being a retail person, I have a retail store. The best part is you don't know what the next moment will happen. Like, whole day you have this rejection thing, like people are not coming. Somebody promised you a business, but that didn't turn up, that didn't happen. And then suddenly, while you are closing the day, suddenly a deal comes up and you make up for the entire day. So that is the best part of entrepreneurship, this uncertainty, this excitement. Somewhere down the line, it also keeps you at your toes, and it helps you to manage things better. This also teaches you how to balance out your month. Like, there will be some dull days, but at the same time, there may be some days when better prospects will come to you. So you have to balance it out and be hopeful and positive, because manifestation is something that I also believe in. Positive manifestation helps.
And for all of the listeners who are watching this, I'm sure this is a big lesson which you have shared, that not all the days are same.
Right.
Some days you will have failures, and some days you will have success. But the days are not good. The days you are not successful, you still have to show up.
You have to show up, and you have to keep preparing yourself.
Yeah.
I always tell this to my people who are there with me in my team, that there will be some days who are dull days, but then keep yourself updated. Be ready for the days when suddenly huge load will start coming in. So, and exactly that happens all the time.
If you could go back today in your first year of entrepreneurship, what would you do differently?
And that's a very nice question that you have asked. I would say that's very pertinent. And I look at it this way, like, Shuprio, since we came from a corporate background, and see, the risk-taking ability was still less, because we were so, and after spending so many years in the, in that fixed pattern of life, it is even tougher for us to sometimes go out of the way and do something. So I started little minimalistic. So if I have to start now, I would start a little more robust. That is one thing that I would like to point out. And the second thing that I would like to say is, like, these days there is so much of ease out in the market in terms of availability of resources, availability of ideas, also because of the AI boom. I would suggest that don't pursue just one business. Try to diversify and chase all your dreams, because that way you will feel that it's more fulfilling. That is my view.
You started with the very minimalistic approach, but today you could go a little broader way. And I'm sure when you started a venture, everybody for the sake, when they starts a venture, they have something in their mind, an impact they will create for the society, for the
Right.
mankind. If you talk about your venture today, what is the impact you made which you are most proud of?
See, the best thing about being an entrepreneur, I'm creating livelihoods. I'm giving that, I'm taking care of 3, 4 more households, those people. And the second bit, I would say, like, the lady staff who joined, my team in the primary days, she only used to work in a register. Today, she can open a laptop, she can work in Excel, she can speak English to some extent, right? She can handle the customers so well. So, this empowering other women who are coming from a poor economic strata, this also gives you a feeling of high, which I could not do while I was on the other side. So, pulling these people up, see, we are already empowered women, we are already blessed with many things. So that আমরা যে সারাক্ষণ বলি যে we always talk about empowerment, this will truly be successful when we are pulling up other women who are from the lower economic strata. That is when the true empowerment happens. So since I'm contributing to that part, hence I feel it's very fulfilling.
And then it is always said that when you see that your work is making an impact, when people see anybody that their work is making an impact, direct impact on someone's life, maybe someone's business, someone's work, they feel good. And,
Right.
and there is no such push needed for them to get this going.
Absolutely.
I'm sure this has been the most motivating factor for you.
Absolutely, because there are many people who says that we look up to you, like we look up to you, we have learned so much from you. So that actually gives a real high.
You train to the emerging leaders these days. As the coach or as the trainer, when you train the emerging leaders, what kind of blind spots you observe in current environment I'm talking about? Because
Right.
there are a lot of questions during this AI era. Even if somebody is doing training, even if somebody is doing their job, everybody is worried that what will happen? Is my job safe? What I'm learning, is that good enough to pursue for a few years? So what are the blind spots you observe?
See, as a leadership coach, as a person who mentors other leaders, I have seen one thing, like there are some basics which needs to be taken care, and even the leaders need this kind of mentoring, like say team building, proper communication. These are very grassroots, factors. We think that since he is a leader, he must be best at it, right? But then when you go into the market, when you go into the field, and when you start mentoring those people, you see that the basics are missing. And that is where I find it's more important to build those blocks up than looking at the top and thinking about what AI will do. First, I have to see that whether my basics are in place or not. For example, recently I have groomed a team of senior managers, and there I have found that they find it very difficult to delegate tasks. So, tasking properly, understanding your priorities at work, then giving the proper delegation, handholding the person whom you are delegating your task, and succession planning in leadership. Like, if I am not there, who will take care? This particular bit is something that needs to be worked upon And there's a lot of scope, I feel. Because what happens is we take everything on us. So tomorrow we can't go for a holiday. Tomorrow we can't take a break. And if we leave the company, the entire thing falls, topples. So succession planning, proper delegation at work, having that proper communication, giving critical feedback to your team, then also boosting the morale of the team. We wait for that particular moment to, pat their backs. Why? Even for small success, even for small wins, we should go to their desk and say, hey, I'm so proud of you. So these human gestures we need to take care of first and then be fearful about AI.
When you say delegation, it is said that delegation is an art.
Right.
People delegate things in two different ways. One, okay, you go and do it. And one, they will show how to do it and assign the sense of ownership that if you do this, this will yield XYZ, so and so outcome. So when you see, as you said, that delegation of ownership is one of the most critical things which we oftentimes fail in corporate life. And communication, in my view, is the most important thing which will define the next decade. Because knowing, to asking the right question is so important. And how did you deal with this?
Sometimes the team is very demotivated. How you are motivating them as a leader, right? That is so important. So even a warm word of like, take care, go home safe, have some water, take a break, take a small vacation and come back.
Yeah.
Don't take so much of stress. These small, kind words, these are so, this works wonders. And now that I'm an entrepreneur, I really understand those, those values of those small words. It works wonders in the lives of people. And it is so easily you can get your work done if you are polite, if you are nice, if you're warm. And these are the simple basics of life which we are missing. We are running, and we are losing track of these basics.
Sometimes it's always good to go back to your basics.
Actually, and it actually works wonders.
I will now move to a different direction. You were into the leadership position in your corporate journey, and now you are an entrepreneur. What is one invisible challenge being an woman in leadership, which people rarely talk about? What I meant, they see all the success, all the fame, but you as a woman know that, okay, this is one invisible spot which people rarely talk about.
See, after spending so many years working, and now that I'm of my own, I don't feel that change, right? Because we are used to it. But then subtle things like people, they come and they look for a male person in the in your office so that they can speak to. That is very surprising in even today's date. They miss sight of the woman sitting in the center, so they feel like they're more comfortable talking to a male member. Maybe they trust the other men more, or maybe they can shout at the other man. I take it that way, maybe because that is the reason he's looking for another man, right? And also in certain cases, like that difference is very vague these days. But in certain cases, some elderly people I have seen that when you go and meet them, they think that maybe you're not worthy of the discussion, and they try to push you aside. So that is the area of challenge, and I face it like I come up with some thoughts, with some additions in the meeting. Maybe I add value to the meeting, and then they realize, okay, this lady is senior and she's making sense. All that she's saying makes a lot of sense in the business world. And then they start taking you seriously.
As women, you saw these instances where you had to overproof yourself.
Overproof yourself, right.
So can you take us back to such instances where you faced this?
See, I'll tell you, I had a partner, business partner. He was a male candidate, and both of us went to an office, an edtech office, and for a meeting. And the gentleman who owns that company, when we entered, my male partner, he introduced me like she is the one who is an educational expert. She has been mentoring leaders, going to organizations, and then still this gentleman chose to, look at my male counterpart and just speak to him about the business, like what do you think about the business, how you will do and all that. So I kept quiet for some time. I thought, okay, let him start getting comfortable, so let him be comfortable. And then after a point, when I saw that this gentleman is not even looking at me, he's not even acknowledging my presence, then I thought that now it's time to shake things up a bit, stir things up a bit. And that is when I said, excuse me, sir, I think you're losing a point here. And then I started giving him the data. And when you speak data and when you speak numbers, Shupriyo, that is the point when people will start taking you seriously. They know that you have done your homework.
And this is really humiliating.
Right.
When you see you are present in one of the meeting, but people are not even acknowledging you.
And you have to overproof yourself.
You had to overproof
in spite
yourself.
of all the qualification, in spite of all the journey that you have done. People are still not taking you seriously. That's actually not done.
And you now you have your family, you have your kid. With that, such a fascinating career, and in both corporate and entrepreneurship, how do you manage the tension between ambition and responsibility?
See, I feel, Shupriyo, you have to stop chasing happiness. You have to understand that happiness is about balancing life. Happiness is not about having something extra. I have seen people who are very wealthy, yet they are constantly, chasing things because they are not happy with themselves. So first you have to figure that out, that whatever I am doing, this is what I can do, and I'm at the end of the day chasing my goals, chasing my dreams. So once you have that feeling of satisfaction, and at the same time you can take care, like when I left my job, that time I was very frustrated. But then slowly and steadily, I started understanding that this balance that at the time I'm giving to my son, looking after his studies, and now that he has successfully, he has cracked the entrance exams and he is in one of the engineering colleges, and I am also taking care of my business. So life is about the balance. So once you can maintain that balance, I think we should be satisfied and happy.
And what was that period during which year, like you said, you left the job and you were very frustrated?
It was 2020, 2021.
And what is the total duration of the period?
Maybe a year and a half.
Year and a half. So you were
max to max 2 years.
Max to max 2 years, and you were still in two minds.
In two minds that whether I should again go back to the corporates. So it took me 2 years, and then I told myself, no, make up your mind. Whatever you have done the right thing. Just stabilize yourself and start working towards your goal.
True. And you are wearing multiple hats today.
Right.
If I talk about as of today, you are wearing multiple hats. How do you decide that where to invest your energy? Your cognitive energy should go towards, you have A to Z, many things on your plate. Where to go? How much of energy you will allocate? See,
once consciously I've taken a break in my career and I've started my entrepreneur journey, the first and the best reward that I've got is the freedom of time and the freedom of decision. Like nobody is now on my head asking me to do this, to do that. Like even if you're in a senior position, you still have a boss. Right now, I also have a boss, but those bosses are my customers. They are the ones who are giving me direct revenues. So that's very fulfilling. So that is one thing, that I'm having time for myself. I can pursue my own leisure. I can spend time the way I want. But at the same time, I feel, as you said, that as a woman, you wear a lot of hats. But the hat of motherhood is the best. By far is the best feeling. Yeah, of course. Because, being in senior position, if you take a break, I think that will give you more time to have self-reflection, to reflect on self. Right. That, okay, are you doing the right things? Are you on the right track? Are you spending your energy at the right time? I want to understand, being at the very successful career,
wherever it is, corporate, entrepreneurship, or any sort of thing, if all the success are taken away from you tomorrow, what part of you will still remain unchanged?
I'm a happy family woman. So that part remains, you should always, apart from taking care of your success parameter, you should take care of your family, your parents, your in-laws, your children, your spouse. So what happens is when you do that, your siblings. So when you take care of your family, there is a feeling of, satisfaction, contentment that comes within you. And even if you lose everything today, you know that you have a family to fall back. So somewhere this is where we win when we compare with the West. They are so fragmented, like they don't stay with parents. Or I'm not advocating a joint family, but I'm saying that when I take care of my mother, when her knee surgery took place very recently, and both her knees were damaged very badly. And I took her to the hospital, got the test done, then the operation date was decided. I took care of the insurance bit, and then the operation happened, and I single-handedly took care of her and got her home. This is something that nobody can take away from you. This feeling of duty, that you have done your duty, and sense of responsibility that you have fulfilled, this is something is far beyond success. So when you have your values in place, nobody can take your pride and happiness.
This is something as you said, that you were very depressed when you took a break from your corporate journey. This is something you learned during that break, or otherwise you wouldn't be depressed?
See, I won't be able to spend so much time with my mother if I was still working. You have to understand that both knee surgery is a big deal.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal, and that too in aged.
Right, and while your parents are aging, so naturally this gave me that time to think and do things my way.
And so that brings me to the thought that as of today, you don't fear for a break. You will not be depressed if you have to take a break, or there is a temporary break for your work. I'm sure you will be all right.
I will be all right, and I can start once again with the same vigor.
With same rigor. Was there a moment in your entrepreneurial journey where you started questioning on your decision, that did I do the right thing? Probably I could have done something different. Was there a moment, such?
Yeah, absolutely correct. That there will be points in life when your decision will be questioned. For example, in my case, when I left a very successful corporate career, few of my very close friends and family, they asked me like, how come you just left your job, which was such a good job with such a good company? This is one question everybody is going to face. Let me tell you. So those initial days will be even more challenging, because already you are feeling depressed and down, and then friends and family start questioning your decision. So that compounding effect, on you will grow. So
and you were at the
peak of your career, like in fact, I was thinking of taking a retirement from my jobs and then doing something of my own. So suddenly this COVID thing happened, and this whole disruption around us happened, and that shook us up, and that gave us the time to think and rethink. We got all the luxury to do that are we on the right track? So what happened was, when I left my job, there were many people around me, especially the close ones, your own close friends, family members. They would question your decision, like, you had a good salary, you had a good job, going to sector 5, coming back from sector 5 on time, and now suddenly you are doing something totally different. How come you have settled to all this? So that time again you will start thinking that whether I took the right step or not. You will judge yourself. You will again go back and feel frustrated. So my advice would be like, don't do that. Don't be so harsh on yourself, and take life easy. Like, take it the way it comes. Then what will happen is your journey will be much smoother. But we will have people, we will have those gossips going around us that will pull us down. And also I would like to cite another example. Since we come from the corporate background wherein we had a very formatted way of working, so I took up a business plan which works with laptop, which works on emails, which works on escalations mode, wherein you can create a ticket, resolve a ticket, raise a mail to follow a matrix. You can be more customer centric. So structured, a more organized way of business is what I chose, because I knew that would make my life easy. If I had gone to an unorganized sector, then perhaps the challenges would have been even more for me. For example, somebody asked me, like, Tanuja, why didn't you go for a more glamorous business? Why did you settle for cargo? So my answer to that lady was like, should I look at revenue earning or should I focus on glamour? For glamour, even I can make my own self, more presentable. I can work on my fashion quotient and all that. But for business, why should I focus on glamour? Let me work on something that is more sturdy and that is more revenue centric. So these are some of the challenges, that I've faced in the initial years. Now, having spent all these years, after some time, this challenge will go, definitely. This
Eventually
self-doubt
started fading away, and you were back to track.
Yes, you were back to track, and the self-doubt goes. But that takes time. 2 to 3 years, a lot of struggle will be there.
Since you are into entrepreneurship for many years now, what advice would you give to the women, especially who feel ready? As of today, they feel ready, but they are hesitating to start their journey. What advice would you give for them?
My advice to them would be like, take that leap. Unless you take a risk, you can't go ahead. But before taking that leap, please do your homework properly. Sometimes we start a business and thinking that, we will be able to sustain. But we have to see that whether internally we were made for this kind of a business or not. For example, I told you, I could have gone for other formats of business, but I chose an organized sector because I knew coming from the corporates, choosing an organized sector would be easy for me, working in a system. So I choose a systematic plan for a business. So similar advice I would give to people, like, you should know your strength, where your strength lies, follow your strength, do your homework, and then take the leap. Don't be so filled with self-doubt. That would be my
So there is no
advice.
need to rush for anything. Do the homework and then
See
go for
your
that.
potential.
Potential. Yeah, that's
What
the
you
right
are
term.
good at,
Yeah.
and then work accordingly. That would be my one advice. And second advice that you have not asked me for it, but I would like to give to my women folks, my lady friends rather, that we women, we are very busy, judging. We are very busy with petty thoughts. Even a senior woman like me, sometimes I also get swayed. And ওই যে আমরা বাংলায় বলি না, পরনিন্দা পরচর্চা, আমরা না খুব বেশি agitated হয়ে যাই. Like when we see the social media, it impacts women, I think, the most. Maybe to men also, but women that একটু চোখে পড়ে বেশি, because we are very expressive.
I mean, comparatively, they are more
Expressive.
inclined towards
I would say more expressive. কে কোথায় খেতে গেল? Why is she wearing a short dress? Why this woman is keeping a long hair? আরে এইরকম ব্যাগ নিয়ে কেউ এইরকম শাড়ির সাথে পরে. So I would suggest that these petty thoughts, somebody is doing better than you, somebody is living a better life, don't get agitated. So if you can leave those petty thoughts aside and focus on bigger goals in life, life becomes unstoppable. So that is one piece of advice I would give to women, that focus on your goals, work on bigger ideas. Don't clog your brain with petty thoughts and petty discussions and judgments. So, and once you do that, you form an inspiration, you form an example for others. They start following you and they actually agree with you. Yes, you're right. We should stop doing that.
Right. That's a nice thing you called out, and oftentimes we see these are the happenings which is there. And finally, for the audience, if they could take one thing from your journey which will help them to navigate and pursue something, what that could be? This is for the audience.
Yeah, for the audience, I would like to give one good piece of advice, and that I learned it myself, so easy for me to relate to it, that what took you here will not take you there. So every year you have to see, once we lose sight of those corporate pressure and all, we lose sight of many things. We stop setting goals. We used to set smart goals, right, during our career. So once we become an entrepreneur, we get more relaxed. So my suggestion would be, my one piece of advice would be like, every year you should set goals for yourself. For example, right now your billing is say a 3 lakhs and you want to move to a 15 lakh or a 10 lakh kind of a figure, then you have to work towards that. Maybe you take you set examples, you look for success stories around you, you compare yourself with other people who are doing it, and you watch them closely, like what extra they are doing that you are not doing. Observe people, right? Learn the right kind of things if you have not yet done that. Maybe by doing some cost cutting, or I don't know, at in your domain, your work area, what will work the best. So take those learnings, work on yourself, set bigger goals, and every year you should relearn, you should unlearn, and then again work towards your goal. You should set goals, which we don't do usually.
And I think with setting up the goals, I think reviewing the goals time to time will make the difference.
Absolutely. Like I said, like what took me here will not
get
take
you
me there. So in order to make that big leap, I must work towards, those bigger goals. And I should challenge myself often.
I completely agree, and this is again fascinating discussion which we have today.
Right.
And there are so much of learnings for the audience. I'm sure they will have a lot of takeaways after watching this. And thank you so much for being here as one of our guests.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure. Even I learned so many things.
Thank you. Thank you. Take a moment, reflect on this conversation, because sometimes one idea is all it takes to change everything.